Right, let's see if this works. Right. Wow. I think we might be live. I think we might be live. Let's see if anybody is here. Wow, be live. Let's see if anybody. So, little bit. First of all, is there any sound before we go any further? Is there any sound? I'm never sure if the sound actually works. Hopefully, we can get some feedback on the sound. Maybe. Graham, is there any sound? I'm very audible. That's good. All right, so had a bit of a shitty 2 weeks. COVID. I think a lot of you guys have had it, especially the guys in Scotland. We've had COVID waves after waves. So I think I would just like to kind of do a little catch up on where I'm at with things. I may miss stuff, so prompt me for things if you think I've forgotten about them. Ask me questions if you think I've forgotten about them in the comments. Just before I got COVID, I was looking at doing firmwares for both, combined firmwares for both the TF360 and TF1260, trying to get the clock speeds, the medium clock speeds to be a bit more stable, and I generally have got that now working. One or two speeds are not working. A couple of guys have been helping. I haven't had as much feedback on this as I would have liked, but yeah, but I think it's just that time of year. Everybody's going on holiday and all that sort of stuff. So over here I've got my 1200. Down here you can't see it. I've got my CD32 with a 360 in it. So let's start with the CD32. So I've been trying to finish the CD32, the TF360 board. I've been just trying to get the firmware done. I've been trying to get it off my desk so I can do other things. It's been hanging around for a couple of years now. I think the first version of it appeared in 2018, the end of 2018. I really just wanted to get that gone. So I've been really hammering on that. Now what happened was we had a prototype version. It all seemed to work very, very well. And what I did was I just gave gave out a batch to Alan Marks and Super Duper, and they didn't work. They just didn't work. We'd had a batch. I think we'd even had two batches of the prototypes. Same exact Gerber files. Alan Marks and Super Duper. The boards just didn't work. So. So I started to try and dig into this, and I think the final conclusion is that there was some bugs in the firmware that have been nailed, and those will translate over to the TF360 1260. We'll get my numbers wrong all the way through this, but also we think that JLC PCB manufactured that batch out of cheese. So another batch is being manufactured with some fixes on it, and it will arrive here in the next couple of days, and those boards will go out to the guys that need to get them, and we'll take it from there. The bonus is that I've managed to get 67, 84, everything below 67 really stable, and the transition's much more reliable between speeds. You don't get the kind of crashes and hangs that you used to get. There's not as many of them anyway. So similarly, there's a a minor issue, all of that. So then I ported all of that over to the 1260, and it was looking pretty good, but there's two issues. The onboard IDE is hanging at high speeds, which I need to look into, and the mediator for some reason is only working in 4 megabyte window at the moment. I can make it go back and work at 8 megabyte, but then I lose other reliability. So yeah. So let's start with having a look at this. Is the CD32. Now I'm just going to give you a quick demo of the boot speed of the CD32 now, and this is OS 3.9. This is OS 3.9 with an 060 CPU, and it is wicked fast. Just the IDE speed, everything about this firmware now has just gone up a gear. It's just working great. I don't know if this particular version that's flashed in here at the moment, there is an issue with this firmware, so psychedelic, potentially strobe warning at this point. I think that this firmware is okay, but just if you are really sensitive, run away. No, I think we're good. I was getting like complete and utter strobing at this point on the CD32, wasn't on the 1200. The thing that is really been interesting, I suppose it is interesting in a sense, is that how many differences there are between the CD32 and the 1200. I never thought, I mean, they're the same chipset apart from the glue logic, they're exactly the same, so just very interesting. So let's get back to the desktop. So let's have a quick bit of the chat first. 6 people watching, no questions so far. Hopefully I've not actually dropped, but yeah. So what are we at? This is the I'll just bring up the changes on the 360. I think this is, no, this isn't the changes, but I'll just talk you through what I have done from this. I have flipped the clock port round on the Rev 3 that's in flight. I flipped the clock port round, so the clock port doesn't need to be extended up over the CPU to fit a standard clock module, not port rather. I've added a little bit of clock line smoothing to the clock line here, and I think that's pretty much it. And there's a reset line bug on this particular board revision, so that's fixed. Hopefully that's the CD32 done. I really want the CD32 guys just to get the 360 and be able to enjoy it, because it's been a long wait, and be able to get 060 demos on the CD32. That was the goal with this whole project. So this one is nearly done. Let's see. So while let's switch back to, let's see, where are we? So while I wasn't very well, there was a project that a few people have asked me about for the last couple of years. People have asked me about 040 CPUs, and I kind of had I was having a bit of a think about where the most appropriate place to put an 040 CPU would be. I don't really want to have 10 cards that can all do 040s, 060s. Ostensibly because the 040's working range is from 25 megahertz to 50, and the 060's working range is 50 megahertz to over 100 megahertz. So the bigger the operating range you try and build into your card, the more difficult it is. And I want to try and keep it cheap. I want to try and keep it simple. So I didn't want to do the 040 option on the 1260 because I didn't think it made sense back at the time when I designed it. 060s, LC 060s were really cheap. They were £30, and I think even when I was designing the card, Rev 5s were £100. That's not the case anymore, obviously, because everything I touch seems to turn into complete and utter, the prices go through the roof, but I should really have bought loads of stock of this and sold it, but I'm not that smart. So I was trying to think about what card would an 040 fit in, and what cards have I not done, and which machine have I not done. There's two machines I haven't done a card for specifically. One of them is the A600. Unfortunately, that's not the one I'm going for. And the A2000, I have not specifically targeted anything at the A2000. And I do think on the A2000 having an FPU is useful. You can run the 536 on the 2000, and it gives it a good kick up the arse. But I think having the FPU, having the speed from the 040 on the A2000 would be worth it. And also, I think that you're kind of spinning your wheels a bit with the 060 on a 2000, because it's not ever going to make the absolute best of it. You've not got the RAM bandwidth to the motherboard. So as a kind of compromise, I just thought, I had this idea. I discussed it with some people. I'd said I was thinking about doing it, and when I got COVID, I was just bedbound. I'd watched telly for 2 days, and I was so bored. And let me just bring up the results here of what happened. Just a second. So let's switch to desktop. So I effectively have taken an TF360 and removed the edge connector, spaced out the components a bit, just to make enough room to do what I needed to do. Cut the data bus to the edge connector down to 16 bits because it's a terrible 16-bit bus, the A2000. Read up through the manual on the A2000 on what the signals are, and from memory I know really what the 68000 has to do, because I've got all the experience with the 536. And this is what came out of it now. One addition that I did make is I added the IDE buffer. I literally copied and pasted that from the 536. That is the exact same circuit. Oh, dropped a bit. Bonsoir, Monsieur Ali. There is nothing to see here. Talk you through this, guy. So it basically is a cut and shut from a TF360. Have I got a TF360 sticking about? I do. I'll just pull the one that's in here out. So, in fact, you know what? Just you can. If I flip between these two, you can pretty much see it, right? There's the 360, and morphed into that. And what I've done is basically kept the RAM controller, kept the RAM, kept the software controllable PLL, added an IDE buffer, because I think the IDE interface on an A2000, you're going to want to locate your primary disk somewhere off the CPU card. So in this specific case, I have no problem with an IDE buffer. I think on this card, an IDE buffer is okay. But I've still gone with the optional, with it being optional. So you have to remove these 0-ohm resistors and put on the buffers to get the IDE buffer. But if you want the IDE buffer, you can have it. I think I've relented and put in some blinking lights, because there's no activity. There's no way to flicker the front LED on the A2000. So you can get some activity lights here. I could maybe put a header on that, I suppose, on the next revision. One of the bigger things I did was I took the power supply for the CPU, and on the previous version, on the 360, the power supply for the CPU and for the RAM and the CPLDs, it's all one. It's all 3.3 volts, and it all comes off one regulator. I've just been kind of lazy and gone, well, you know what, let's split the power supply so this can be 5 volts and this has to be 3.3 volts, or you blow everything up. But you can make the CPU power supply 5 volts or 3.3 volts. So you can put an 060 in it if you're nuts. I'm recommending an 040, and that's the only one I'm actually going to put in here. Do I plan to release the Gerber of the TF360 to the public if it's final? I'm not expecting there to be enough interest in the TF360, so let me come back to that one. So hopefully, yeah. So and then the having the CPU at 5.5 volts means that I have to buffer the RAM modules. So there'll be a bit of a speed. There'll be a little bit of a speed loss from that, but hey-oh, we'll have a bit of a speed loss from 040 compatibility anyway. Thoughts on this? I think the idea with this one is that it will have an operational window of probably 25 to maybe 75 megahertz, maybe 66 max. So it's not going to do 100. I could probably do a tuned specific firmware that would work at 100, but it wouldn't work at 25. Just getting that operational window that I can actually issue a firmware that will work at 25, 50, 66, and 100. That's absolutely that's a mind-boggling range. If you think about it, you're going from 4 times your frequency at 25 up to 100, and that's a killer. So in terms of the Gerbers for the TF360, no, if you want to buy a TF360, you have to buy it from Alan Marks or Super Duper, and that's the end of it. There's not going to be that many people wanting them, in my opinion. If those two get fed up with selling it, then I will get the Gerbers out. But I don't expect in the current economy that people will actually be that desperate to get hold of it. You know, we did over 500 TF1260s, so we gave out the Gerbers. I think if we did the same number of 360s, I'll give out the Gerbers, but I don't think we're going to. Yeah, so that's the 2040. It wasn't really a card I was expecting to do at this juncture. It was kind of like a delirium thing. I had COVID. I was going crazy. I just rooted it, and then I haven't really gone overboard too much with the insulting messages on this one. No, I will not port this to the A500. And yeah, this one's aimed at somebody in particular. So there you go. Get support on X's for. I'm trying to keep it really simple this time. Don't plug this into your IBM PC. That's the kind of messages I'm going to go for. So, right. So before we move on, any questions? Is the sound all right? By the way, this is a new microphone setup, so I'm kind of a little bit unsure of it still. Right. So, no A500. Oh, Eric. If it was anybody else, I'd get cross. So, good. The sound's clear. That's completely by accident. So, yeah, I'm still absolutely dying from the crazy, from the coof. So yeah, I've kind of rejigged my streaming setup. I have a camera here, I've got one that you can see down the microscope onto as well. I've kind of got some visually pleasing things in the background up here, and you can get your eyes on both the logic analyzers, even though I can bring them up on the screen because they're networked. It's still nice to be able to see them, trying to get some decent visuals on here. Yeah. 4060 update. Where are we at the 4060? It boots. It insults Chucky. I think it's feature complete. What do we think? Sound volume is too low as always. Sound volume it's a completely different streaming setup, so I have no idea. We'll come to the arcade machines later. So this I'm hoping to get a firmware out for the 1260 and the 360 imminently. If I can just get some very, very simple some fixes done. I think you'll get a good speed boost again out of the in sort of real world usage. You'll get another good speed boost out of the 1260 if you update the firmware. It'll also report the Git version on the tools as well, so it'll tell you if your tools are out of date. You can get a Git version. It's just one of these things that was just trying to get stuff out. You rushed things a wee bit, and I maybe didn't do things as professionally as I should have done originally. Let's see, so so we've covered the 360, covered the 1260. Okay, the 4060. 4060. I have a kind of dilemma with the 4060. It's working. I can get almost every feature working on it except the software speed select. I haven't found a way to, on the fly, reprogram the PLL in the fabric of the FPGA. I spent quite a bit of time on that and realized that the tools that I was using to try and do that reprogramming didn't support it at all. They weren't even fabricating that into the bit stream of the FPGA, which I know is kind of getting even for me that's getting kind of technical. But the Arcane and PNR software was just silently not doing anything. It did take quite a while to figure that out. I ported everything over to using Next PNR, and that's sort of working, except I can't reuse a clock. I have to find another way of doing something. I may just give up and put the same software clock switch on that the 1260 uses, because I know it works. It's a bit of a shame because there is a reprogrammable PLL in the FPGA, but it's such a bastard to actually make it work that I might leave it alone and just move on. So that's the only real big issue with the 4060 is that and the 1260 and the 360 are ahead of it in the queue. Another little device that was knocked up in the last year that I am planning on giving the Gerbers out for this one, probably. I'll see who's interested in building it first, but the TFMSX. Thanks to Eric on the stream for the disk controller. I can't find anything wrong with it, to be honest, at this point. It all works. So I think we might just go for shipping that one. I think I'll add some pads for a capacitor so that you can tune the sync line on the PDP. But apart from that, I think that's done. I'll flip the joystick port over so it's not mirrored, but that's it. So we'll get a TFMSX out in the next little while. And Ollie, actually, this is yours, Ollie. I just keep forgetting to post it. I also didn't kind of want to post it when I had actively had COVID, in case I somehow managed to give you COVID. So I'll try and fire that off to you in the next couple of days. What else are we up to? So we've covered. I think we've covered everything. Have we covered everything? Arcade machines. I haven't touched any of the arcade machines in the last little while. I cut out some sides for the SNK clone, the Neo Geo, and one of them has bowed. I'm really raging about it. So one of them has kind of bowed. They've both kind of bowed the same way, so it looks like they're going around the corner. So I need to find a way to straighten them out or get some cross pieces on there to sort them out. It's subtle, but it'll look really annoying. It'll really annoy me if I don't sort it out. So, Ollie says he's got a monitor chassis and a Mega Drive. That'd be fantastic. Thanks, Ollie. Monitor chassis, you know. I think this place is starting to look like your shed. There's just monitors, CRT monitors, starting to pile up everywhere. I'm gonna have to rein it in. I'm gonna have to rein it in. One of the other things I came across, I kind of came through the post unsolicited, but I'm sure if you reach out to Goose on the Exos forum, he'll tell you what's going on with this. But maybe, yeah, you can see that. That is basically an IDE buffer from the TF536 that's been just cut down into a tiny little board, and it gives you buffered IDE. It looks really cheap. It looks really effective. It's got a screw for pinning it down. If so, I would recommend that. I would recommend having if you're looking for an IDE buffer solution for either the 360 or the 1260, then or one of the other cards that doesn't have a buffer on it. Definitely give that a look. It's the business. You can't have enough spare CRTs. That is true, because when they go, they are really annoying. You aren't going to fix them quickly. Usually, it's a flyback, order a flyback, change the caps, all of that sort of stuff, and you're probably going to be waiting a week. Whereas if you have a spare, you just take the dead one out, put the spare one in the machine, off you go and fix the spare one, and it becomes the hot spare. So yeah. Right, so it was a quick stream tonight. I wasn't expecting to be on for hours and hours and hours, but any questions before I shoot off? Was there anything else I was going to cover? I'm sure there was one or two other things. Could maybe have a quick... It was one of the demos that, let me see if I can find it. There we go. TF1260 new firmware. I'm happy to send you one, you a version to test, Eric. I've given. In fact, you've already got the version to test. Go test it. You've got it. It's in your WhatsApp. go and find it and test it. It even has the blinking lights, I think. So if not, I can send you the blinking light version. The 1260 new firmware it's just stability and a bit of things cache more aggressively. Just gonna see how this works out. So one of the complaints that I've had recently is that this demo doesn't work that great on the 1260. It should work. These two machines are now on the same firmware, so you'll be able to see the 1260 / 360 difference in the performance. It's the next sequence that's coming up here that the ball seems to bounce very slowly on the older firmware, on the Christmas firmware. Kind of found a few things I was doing wrong and sorted them out. So this sequence, the ball was really slowing down. It grinds to a halt. Should probably have put some sound on here. Yeah. Too late now. Stream health still looks okay, so hopefully I'm not being cut off by my terrible broadband. Yeah, so playing demos. I mean, it's kind of one of those things. I'm pretty similar in that most of the time when I'm not actually trying to make something work, I'll probably stick a demo on or stick a couple of demos on and just enjoy the demos. That's not often I get a chance to play the games. So yeah, this demo's has had particular issues on the previous firmware, and it's this new firmware seems to have done the trick. Now, I will say that I'm not going to make the kind of claims that I've been hearing today about 2,000 MIPS or whatever it was, 1,850 MIPS. You know, that was quite hilarious actually. Somebody's trying to sell some cards because they're not selling cards. That's my opinion anyway. So yeah, I think some of the demo issues will be sorted out on this new firmware. I have yet to check it on the 1260L, but I'm going to take this card off, the CF card out, and put it in the other machine and check it in a minute. All right, any more questions before I get off? What an Apolloing performance claim to make it. One matrix operation is one operation. That's it. So, what has been causing the issues for the demos? Can I? So Matt, the straight honest answer is stupidity. Where do you get your inspiration from your Shermans? I don't know. So Matt, the straight answer was I have a comparison between so on the 060 it outputs the size pins, 2 pins that tell the Amiga or tell the bus controller how big the transfer that it's doing is. Okay, and those pins are called size 60, size 61 and size 60. And in order to cache something, you really need you can't cache a byte or a word, so you have to do a comparison to make sure that the size is either a line or it's either a long word. So it's either 00 or 11. Unfortunately, I was using the wrong pins internally. I was using the 030 bus size pins to do that determination rather than the 060. So I think the cache, the cache inhibit was going on far too often. Down with this sort of thing. So things were being cache inhibited because I made a typo. That's the straight answer. Any plan for a standalone card that can run Amiga or Atari? Yeah, and it's going to run at 2,000 MIPS for sure. Yeah, absolutely. It will be able to logically shift left some 16 bits at a time, and that's, as we all know, that's 16 instructions. Each one of those is 16 instructions. Any CD32 Rise of Progress? I believe if you speak to Eric in the chat, he's got it he's got it mostly nailed. If he's got anything he'd like me to fix, I can make that change. I think we had a brief chat. He was here a few weeks back. We had a brief chat about it. If there's anything we want to do, we'll just pick it up and do it. It's quite close. Everything that we did for the CD32 riser got put into the TFMSX, the keyboard controller, which is another demo. Right, let's have a crack. What demo? Anybody got a request for a demo? Hey Gadget, how you doing? I'm drinking wine, recovering from COVID, and talking absolute nonsense. So par for the course, really. Rift. Let's see if it's in here. This. If it's not, it's Alan Marks' fault, because this is his disk image. Rift. There's Rift in here. No, it's not. Damn. I need to probably go to. I have got all the TBL and Elude demos in my other card. Let's have a. But I think. So here's one of my pet hates. This is one of my pet hates of Amiga land at the moment. Right. My A1200 is on OS 3.2. Okay. Unfortunately, they still have not released OS 3.2 for the CD32, and I think they're just trying to sweep that under the carpet. But I'm not going to let them get away with this. It drives me crazy, because it means I can't take a disc from my CD32 and put it in my 1200 without it moaning and complaining about, please insert workbench blah 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 disk icon library not found. Right. Either put icon library and workbench library in the damn 1200 ROMs, which you can do, there's no issue with that, or give me a CD32 version. Rant over. Right. Maybe under TBL. Okay. Let's have a look. I think this is a pretty crap set of demos. Yeah, I need to do a better job of getting some demos. Yeah, sorry lads. Let me see if I can. I'm not sure if I've got the right. Have I got the right CPU speed tool in here? So yeah, this kind of demonstrates what I was talking about earlier. The new CPU speed tool will tell you the firmware version that you have, the date it was built, and a Git version. And that's actually written into the. Let me see if I can explain this. There's a. When you reboot the machine, you get the rainbow colors. That firmware revision is written in and encoded into that 127 to 128 byte ROM that does those color flashes at reboot, and resets. It switches off your FPU so that Workbench can boot, because Workbench is crap and it can't boot with the FPU enabled. But you get this setup. I think. Famous last words, this will never work because I'm doing it on stream, but these speeds are all working much better than they were. This is the CD32, obviously. I don't think the 100 is working on the CD32, but 94 is working on the CD32 really quite sweetly. You can just, I don't know what. Planet Groove AJ. I bet you this is rubbish. Hope this isn't prawn. So yeah. I don't know what it is, but something that says AGA chipset detected and utilized doesn't fill me with confidence. I don't know why. Anybody explain why that feeling of dread is there with me? It's not that I have a problem with the AGA chipset, it's just being told it's been detected. The world's first true AGA demo. Let me see if I can, while that's running. Right. Planet Groove was the first AGA demo. It did actually say that on the screen there a second ago. Okay, I've literally blown this thing up on purpose. Did I just kill it? Oh, I think I just killed him. Killed the Amiga. Like I literally just... Ah! Interesting. So, let me just... it's one of these guys, right? And it's perfectly happy in the 1200, but it won't let the CD32 boot. Interesting. Mad. So yeah, that one's sulky as well. Let's see if I can find one that'll actually boot in the CD32. Did I just put the card I had already had in there back in? This is half of my problem. I really need to label some of these cards. Ah. Yeah, those digital memory, these guys just don't, the CD32 does not seem to like it. Let's see what I can, let's see if this guy will work. So, not sure what's on this, but we'll have a go. And then I'll get off and let you watch somebody more interesting. No, not happy. So much for 360 being nearly finished. No, she's not happy. Come on, I've got to at least have one card that'll boot that isn't. There is no one more interesting. Ha. I don't know if I should go into this subject, but I'll touch on it a little bit because it was quite funny. It transpired that there was a couple of lads that were pretty unhappy with me announcing the TF40 2040, and the accusation was made that I'm doing this for the fame. And I told my wife this, and about 20 minutes later, when she came off the floor from laughing, I went and told Ollie, and he's like, it's like, what fame is there in this? Jesus, you know, I was like, I mean, I make old computers go slightly faster. It's like, and then I start getting the sarky from her, and she go, "No, I'm not sure I can use the same, you know, insert room here as I'm not sure I can live in the same house as somebody as famous as you, you know, and all this. Oh, sorry. I honestly find that really, really funny. Way more funny than I probably should, but let's see. Rise and shine, elude. There's some demos on here. Let's go. Let's see if I can. Right, I'm going to give you guys an earphone warning. If you're wearing earphones, this may just blow up in your ears, so just warning. It's going to reset, and then it's all of a sudden the sound's going to come through. This is just the quirk of my streaming setup. No, I think I've killed. Here it comes. No, I've killed it. Just trying to get the sound to work. Oh, there we go. So apologies if that's blowing your ears off. See on the... How do I handle the thing? Just keep going for bigger and bigger thrills. Is that better? I'm happy with that. Yeah, Nexus 7 is... Oh, this is the CD32. I've yet to completely 100% test it on the 360, 1260, but CD32 version, it's all looking good. Yeah, it did stick with the spinning disc on light, so we can... I think that's good, so... Oh, more to come. That does not look good. I think that's broken. Well, let's just try some moving swiftly on. So as I explained earlier in the stream, but it was basically incompetence. Metropolis, let's go. It was a typo. It's thinking about it. I'm going to give it another 10 seconds. Essentially, Gadget, there's two size signals to the RAM controller on the 360. One is size 60, one is size 30, and I was using size 30 for something when I should have been using the other one. I'm hitting the ultra wide too hard. Taking backhanders for doing quicker and quicker masses. Let the fame go to my head. There you go, lads. So I think that's it. That's the CD32 50 megahertz. Nothing too fancy. Playing all these lovely demos. I honestly think, my opinion is, I mean, I know there's guys that want the 1200, and I kind of get the 1200 thing, but for me, the CD32, tuck it under your telly. You've got stick a bunches of these demos on a CD. If I could find a way to just go like cycle through the demos, that would be awesome. That would be my absolute dream. Just have them sitting in, playing one after the other on random. I think Commodore missed a trick not doing 3D cards before PC did them. Thing is though, there was, yeah, I mean, I think they just kind of lost their way well before that. Unfortunately, that's who should have been doing them, and they were just trying to scale up to the next thing. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna get off at this point. You know, the whole fame thing, the County Westmeath Priest of the Year award. That's where it all started for me. I won that, and the fame went to my head. So. Oh my god. So I really find that quite funny. Oh dear. Anyway. Alright folks, is there any more questions before I shoot off and hit the altar wine a bit more? No? We all good? Keep your if you are watching this after I've done it and you are looking for updates on where stuff is, Exos Forum, that's where you'll get them. Try and remember to leave a link in the description below. You know, I might be too famous to leave a link in the description below. You know what I mean? Oh, Gadget asks, how's the arcade stuff going? Yeah, I'm leaving it alone for now. The MSX is working. In fact, should I tell you this? Yeah, alright. So I was supposed to go to the Isle of Jersey for my holiday. I'm supposed to be there just now. And we were going to drive down to Poole and get the ferry to Jersey from Poole. And on the way, I was going to drop in to the RMC cave with my boy. And I had got a t-shirt for him that says Sex Machine Filthy on it. So I was just kind of hoping Neil, he would do a double take, seeing an 8-year-old running around his business with a t-shirt that says filthy on it. So can you get a CD32 game working from a CD onto a 12? I think you can, but you obviously need a CD drive, or you need an ISO mounter, but it depends on the game, I guess. So it's not really my area of expertise. Is there any way we can get signed t-shirts? Yeah. Father Dougal Maguire signed t-shirts. Yeah. Oh my god. Jesus. Yeah. What you guys don't realize is, right, like, I can't remember, it's Gadget's fault, right? Because he came across he did a video where he said something about me being a genius, right? A guru, a legend, a genius, something like that, right? My mother-in-law found that, and for a month I got, how's the guru this morning? I can't believe I'm living with a legend this morning. I mean, in Scotland you're not allowed to get a big head, right? You're just not allowed. You're just going to get the piss ripped from you at every opportunity. Yeah, and especially with my mother-in-law, my wife. So, yeah. Anyway, all right, folks. Thank you very much for watching. I know I haven't been doing streams or haven't been doing videos a lot lately. I want to carry on and finish what I was doing with the series, and I'll update when the 2040 arrives, I will add that to the list of cards I've done, and I'll also do a video on the proper video on the TFMSX with its working floppy drive support on there now, thanks to Eric. Thank you so much for that, Eric. Yeah, and there's just so much. It's one of these things you know I'm not able to finish anything at any given moment because I hit a roadblock. So I've got so many of these things running in parallel. I'm now just trying to get a couple of them over the line. Really made a big push on the, as you can see on the CD32 there. And all of that translated over to the 1200 as well. So those two are really close. They're really close to being finished. I'm really desperate to get those finished and get them off my plate long term, and then move on to doing other more interesting projects, some non-Amiga, and get on to doing some non-Amiga projects as well. I think the 2040 might be my last Amiga card. Might be, unless I can think of something that's really needed. But yeah. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and take care and have a good one.